Hi, I'm Paco Nathan from O'Reilly Media. We're here at AI New York 2018, and it's a pleasure to be here today with Fiaz Mohamed. You're head of business development in the Intel AI Products Group.
That's right.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. Nice
Thank
to
you.
be here.
I really enjoyed your keynote this morning, and I wanted to ask, can you give an overview about Intel's AI strategy?
Absolutely. So, what we're doing in AI is really making it easy for enterprises to deploy AI at scale, right? So everything from compute all the way up to optimized solutions. So, we have compute that you can use for training and inference in the data center, for example, right? So Xeon is our data center CPU. We're building accelerators that you can, add into that deployment for sort of more high bandwidth use cases, right? But we're also building sort of silicon for the edge and the gateways, so everything in between, right? So we have the Movidius VPU, which is a vision processing unit that you can use for edge inferencing. We have FPGAs that you can deploy, along that entire path, right, depending on the use case. But the important thing to remember is it's not just the silicon, but it's also a very deep technology stack that includes optimized frameworks, math libraries, any sort of software optimization that you'll need to run deep learning workloads, for example. Right. We're also working with leading enterprises within every major industry vertical on, real world problems. Right. So what we want to do is really understand what sort of workloads the enterprises are running, and then use that to sort of feed into future product development as well. So it's a pretty broad and deep technology stack that we're building to enable AI workloads.
Oh, fantastic. Can you talk a little more about the AI Builders program that you launched today?
That's right. So we, it's essentially a partnership program where what we're trying to do is really bring in the enterprises who are looking for their AI-based solutions, and the solution developers themselves into one ecosystem where they can sort of co-develop some of these solutions, and there's an exchange of development effort and partnerships there, right? So we have a variety of different partners that we've recruited into the program. So we have ISVs, SIs, OEMs, right? And they're building everything from really interesting point solutions for vertical industries to sort of scaling adjacent services that simplify the deep learning workflow, right? And also scale partners like OEMs that can actually build out and scale these solutions for large-scale deployment, right? And what the enterprises are doing here is really, a lot of enterprises are looking at incorporating AI-based solutions into their products, right? And this is a great ecosystem for them to leverage and explore potential partnerships outside their own organization. So it's a really awesome program that we're launching today. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Well, what would be benefits for, say, a startup to join this, or someone to get involved with this program?
Absolutely. So, we have a really large technical team that can provide a lot of deep training in the AI space, right? So, we are obviously building silicon, like I said, but also the tools that we're developing for optimizing some of these workloads, so we can provide training and technical support for some of these startups. We also have a hosted cloud platform called AI Dev Cloud, which is essentially, based on our Xeon scalable processor. But we have these sort of pre-optimized frameworks, like optimized TensorFlow, for example, that's pre-installed on these servers. So, it's a ready-to-go system that startups can use to deploy their solutions. And also there's, business value as well. We can offer sort of co-marketing through our, marketing programs. There's significant matchmaking in this process as well, so we can connect these startups to large organizations that may be interested in these solutions. And the other, really important thing is that Intel has a really large investment arm that is always looking for the next great idea, right? And so, there may be potential partnerships where we can, invest in select few companies that are really doing exciting things. So there's a lot of value for smaller companies to join the program.
Excellent. Well, I can imagine, especially you have this pervasive bird's eye view of what's going on across the industry, and seeing where the pain points are, where possible solutions are, and making those matches. I can imagine that's amazing value for partners.
Yeah, absolutely. We are seeing use cases across the world and across every major vertical, right? So healthcare, financial services have definitely been the two leading ones, but a lot of stuff going on in autonomous driving in transport. And we have things that are going on in the garment space, retail. It's just everything from point solutions for specific industries to really interesting sort of software tools that make this deep learning and AI sort of easy to adopt and deploy, right? So it's a great, we definitely have that view of what's going on in the enterprise space, and we can sort of, I think that's where the matchmaking really sort of adds value, because I think that's a key value for a lot of the startups that are looking for that partnership. Right?
Well, you mentioned about edge computing. I think that may be an area where people hear the term, but they haven't really understood yet what the concrete examples are.
Yeah. I mean, one thing would be, let's say, retail surveillance, right? So you may train a deep learning-based model to detect theft in a store, for example, right? Now, that usually is trained on video data. It's very hard to do the training at the edge, but you will do the training in the data center using a Xeon scalable processor infrastructure, right? Now, the inference, which is the actual detection in real time, doesn't necessarily have to happen in the data center. You can do it on a gateway that's located in the store. For some applications, you may even be able to do it on the camera itself, depending on what the application is. So that's where the edge compute comes in, is to do the inference in real time, so you don't have to necessarily rely on a connection to the data center, because you want to be able to react really quickly to some of these evolving circumstances. So you need to be able to deploy the right hardware across that spectrum of deployment scenarios. But also you want to make it easy to, going back to that example, train the model in the data center and quickly deploy it and update it. So there's a software aspect of this as well, because you want to make sure these models that are developed and trained are easily deployable irrespective of where they need to be deployed. Right? So that's where some of our software efforts kick in.
Interesting. So it's kind of an evolution of software lifecycle then.
Exactly, yeah. And you're continuously updating the model in this scenario as well, right? So if tomorrow you want to detect something else, right? Maybe you want to detect shelf inventory, right? So when you detect empty shelf space in the store, you want to trigger some sort of inventory process where you can restock immediately. So that may be a slightly different variation of the surveillance use case. Yeah. Right, but you can extend it to multiple use cases like that.
Well, can you tell us more about some of the partners that have already signed up?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have OEMs, ISVs, and SIs as primarily the three major categories, right? The SIs are the ISVs essentially are building these point solutions for specific industries, right? So there are companies that are doing stuff in natural language processing or understanding. There's companies that are doing image classification models for specific types of use cases. Now there's a different set of ISVs that are doing these productivity software tools and adjacent tools that make that process easy. And then once you get to the SIs and ISVs, that's where the scale comes in, right? So your enterprises, obviously it's important to do the proof of concept using some of these point solutions, but scaling it and deploying it across a large organization is a whole different challenge, and that's where the ISVs and SIs the OEMs and SIs come in. We have over 30 partners already signed up. So,
wonderful.
In the last couple of weeks we've reached out to some of these partners, and they're on the program today, and we're looking to scale that program to a much bigger sort of ecosystem in the next coming months.
Wonderful. Well, very much looking forward to that. Yeah. Thank you, Fiaz.
Thank you very much.